tubing world. It is I, Capri Nicole, and I'm back with another video. And I have this super cool box that I was like obsessed with. I thought it was like, I don't know, I thought it was like rustic and kind of different, so I was just like, I want it. And of course, I put books in it. So today, I'm going to be doing a book haul. Ah, Gregory, you're getting pinched. Gregory's in the corner holding down the fort and my water bottle. So today, I'm going to be doing a book haul video. So in this book box, I have a ton of books that I acquired over the time, you know, for a while. And some of the books that I was going to include in this haul, it's been so long since I was supposed to start it that I've already read those books, so I had to take those out. But for the most part, I do have a ton of books that I want to talk about. So let's get into the video. I have 19 books that I want to talk to you guys about today, and it's a lot of books. So there originally was a lot more than that, so I'm kind of thankful because maybe the video won't be too long where I have to edit for 600 years, but yeah, let's get into it. Actually, I have a couple other books. I'm probably going to grab them. Should I grab them now? I'm just gonna go grab. I know I have two other books that I just brought in my book bag. Goodness. Okay, so I'm just gonna start grabbing books because I don't even know. There's just books everywhere. So the first book that I have is Queens of Finburn by Kendra Blake, and this I think is the prequel. Is the prequel? This is the prequel to the Three Dark Crown series, and I had recently finished that. I think it was like June that I read the Three Dark Crown series, but where I read the first book, and I wanted to like find out like more about the history behind it. So I ended up buying this book, and I love this cover. It's like matte, like a matte finish kind of. And you can see like the smoke coming from like the crowns. Oh, I love it. So I was actually gonna read this book during Booktubeathon, but I ended up not reading it because I really wanted to make sure I finished 7 books, so I ended up reading a graphic novel instead of this book. But yeah, I really need to read this book. My TBR list is hanging thin by a thread. So this book follows the Three Dark Crown series, which is about 3 sisters that, well, 3 triplets that grow up with special powers, and only one of them can be the queen, and they're raised until they're 16 separately. I think they're raised together when they're first born, and then they're raised separately until they're 16, practicing their powers and trying to become the best, because they have to kill each other. Like, they have to try to kill one of their sisters, which is so terrible, but it's so plot twisty. So it's like really interesting. And the point of this book is that there can only be one queen. So you have to go away, master your powers for years, and then try to come up with a plan of how to kill your sister, which is super dark, but it's interesting. So you have like a poisoner, you have a naturalist, and so you have 3 different types of powers. You have an elemental, you have a naturalist, and you have a poisoner. So each of the queens have a specific power, whether they're a poisoner, which means that they can indulge a certain amount of poison and it not affect them whatsoever, or an elemental, which is like a power where you're in control of like the weather and things like that, like the wind and fire and lightning and all that. And then you have like a naturalist, which is in control of like nature, which is like, you know, animals, being able to interact with animals, speak to them, grow grass and grow flowers. So those are the 3 powers, and they have to go and perfect their powers and then come back and try to kill each other. So this is pretty much the prequel to that book. So this is my first book for the haul, and I'm super excited to read this book. So I'm gonna rate all these books on like a 1 to 5 of how excited I am to read this book. So I give this one like a 3. Like, I'm not like I have to read this now, but I would like to read it just because I want to know the prequel to the series, so I can maybe get more into it, because I read the first one but it was just alright for me. So hopefully this gets me more into the series. The next book that I have is Beneath the Sugar Sky by Shannon McGuire. Is it Shannon McGuire? Oh, I love her books. Like, this is the 3rd book in the Every Heart a Doorway series, and I absolutely love these books. Like, as you can see, I've already started reading it. I got my bookmark in here, and I am loving these books to the fullest. Like, and they're so quick and they're so fun, and it just takes me out of this world and brings me into something that is so good. So this series pretty much follows a group of children that have gone to different realms of the world. Like they've gone, like, you know, like Alice in Wonderland, Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe, where they've opened a door or opened something where they ended up in a different world, completely different from the world that we live in, and then they end up going back to the world that we live in. And trust me, it's hard to live in it every day. So imagine going to a world where you fit perfectly in it and then you are brought back to Earth. So their parents bring them to this boarding school where it's supposed to help them cope with it, but really the owner of the boarding school went to a different world too, and she's like super fun and understanding of like the situation, and she doesn't want them to feel like they don't have to talk about it. She wants them to feel comfortable in talking about it and hoping one day that they can get back to their home and open back their door. It's a really good book, and it gets kind of dark, it gets kind of twisted. It has a lot of hidden woke quotes in there. Like, it's a lot of stuff in here that I'm just like, yes, like, it's so many things that it hits on, like, low key, that you don't even, like, it's not even like hard topics, but it's just something that's slid in there, like thoughts on women, and thoughts on like having children, and thoughts on getting married, and thoughts on how women should act, and, you know, like how boys should act, and just everything about the world. It's like little quotes that are in here that just make me just like scream yes the whole time. Like, I've written this book up so much, and I've just started, and I already have like hearts all over certain quotes, and I'm just really loving it. The first and second book I've already finished. This is the third one, where one of the characters who ends up dying in the first book, all of a sudden in the third book, her daughter shows up, like her 16-year-old daughter shows up, and she's like disappearing, and she's like, what did you guys do to my mother? Because now I'm becoming unborn. So now they're on this journey to try to figure out a way to bring back the character that was killed in the first book, to stop time from killing her daughter. And this is like super crazy and super fun, and I love the characters, I love the pace of this book, and I don't want to finish it because it's so good, and I don't want to wait for the next one, which I think comes out next year, like maybe January next year. So I just don't want to wait. Like, that's the worst part of catching up in a series, is the waiting part. So that is the next book, and I can't say how much I want to read this because I've already started it, but I give this book a 5, like, of how bad I want to read it, but I'm trying to read it slow so I don't finish it. The next book that I have is Work Party by Jacqueline Johnson, and this book is pretty much a business book which like dips and dives into her journey as an entrepreneur and her journey in the workforce, and how she became her own boss, and her community, which is called Create and Cultivate, which is like, you know, a community full of women who support each other. And she has events, and she has like a blog, and it's just like really fun and knowledgeable, and she's just so powerful. And she also has a podcast. Like, I've just been soaking up so many different business aspects and business books that give me an idea of like what to expect and what other people have gone through, to feel like, you know, I'm not alone in starting my business. And it's super empowering, and I love the Create and Cultivate community. It's very like lean down and pick a sister up type thing. Like, they're helping each other, they're motivating each other, they're finding ways to break through the workforce and just be bosses and just do what you love. And I just am living for this book. And I've been like kind of skeptical with some books that are like business books, but also like biographies of the person that has their own business. Like, because I feel like sometimes it's not the best. Like, the last book that I read, Leave Your Mark, I didn't really enjoy it too much, but so far I am loving this book. There's so many quotes in this book that are, because I've already started reading it, but there's so many quotes in this book that are super just truthful and informative, and I'm just living for it. So if you're a business owner or starting your own business or wanting to be like a powerhouse in your workforce and you're a woman, I definitely recommend checking out this book, checking out her podcast, checking out her online community, and just soaking up all the women empowerment, because it's just an amazing experience so far. The next book that I have is Strange the Dreamer by Leilani Taylor. Leilani, I feel like I never say the author's names right, so I think it's Leilani Taylor? I don't know. So, yay! So this book I've been wanting to read forever, and I kept seeing it in the bookstore, and then when I went back I was like, okay, I'm gonna go pick up the book. It wasn't there, and I was just like, why? And then I saw on her Instagram that she released the paperback copy of it, because I don't buy, you know, hardcover books unless it's a series that I'm obsessed with and I want it to look beautiful. So this was just something that I really wanted to read. I didn't feel like I wanted to buy the hardcover, so when she came out with the paperback version, I was super excited. And then Barnes & Nobles was having this amazing deal online where it was like 50% off all books. So you know your girl had to grab up a sale, and I got this book 50% off. I was super excited about it, and it came pretty quickly in the mail, and I'm just like, I'm living for it. It was great. This book follows the main character Lazo, who is a orphan, and he's also a librarian, and he gets into this cool mythological city named Weep, and he is like really enjoying it, and he feels like he wants to discover it and find out more about it. And he's just like, oh, you know, I couldn't do something like that, you know, you need someone more heroic or whatever. But it comes a time where he gets the opportunity to find this lost city and find more out about the city of Weep, and he's introduced to a character called the Godslayer, and it just seems like it's going to be like this adventurous, fun discovery book that I'm living for, about a character that doesn't expect much from themselves, but then it's going to just build. I just know it's going to be some character development in it. I love character development in books, like a book that the character doubts himself and then they just like build up more and more and more and become like this amazing hero. I love it. So I felt like he's on a mission to find this lost city, and he meets the Godslayer, and they just go through an adventure. That's what I'm getting from this book. With Lonnie Taylor's books are really hard to explain. Just like The Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I remember trying to do a review on one of her books, and I was just like, how do I explain this without sounding crazy? And it was hard. So like, that's just the basis of this book, and I'm super excited to read it. I know the second book came out already, I want to say. And I love waiting for books that are like super hyped up, because I wait and wait and wait, and then the next book comes out and then I start the first one, so that I'm behind enough where I don't have to wait for the books until the point where I get caught up, and I'm just like, why? So yeah, this book I give it like a 4. Like I'm a 4 unanticipated reading it, and I'm super excited to dive into it because I just love her writing. It's so poetic and just different, and it is just reading about like the synopsis of this book and the adventure pending. I'm ready. I'm all for it. The next book that I have is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater, and I read the synopsis of this book and I have absolutely no idea how to explain it. Like, this is a book that has been floating around the booktube community for a while, and a lot of people have already read it, raved about it, and gone crazy. So I am super excited to get into this book, and I grabbed this book from a used bookstore, which I went on with my mother. We went on a little book adventure in New Haven. They have a ton of bookstores out there, and one of the places that I went to had used bookstores, which is my first time going to a used bookstore, and every book in there was like $4, and they were in perfect condition. Like, this book was $3.95, okay? And a majority of these books that I have in my book haul were from the used bookstore, and this is one of them. $3.95. This book follows the main character, Blue, who I'm getting from the synopsis that her mother can see when someone is going to die. So I guess she can like predict ghosts and she can like see them and stuff like that. But only her mother can see the soon-to-be dead, and Blue cannot, until one day one of these spirits come to her. His name is Gansey, and she pretty much wrapped up into Gansey and 3 other of the boys' story and like a journey. They go by the name of like the Raven Boys because they were in a school that was like a private school. She's told, like, known to stay away from them, but she just like drawn to them in a way that she's like never expected before. So it's pretty much a journey of her and these 4 Raven Boys. There's clearly some underlying story behind it, because I can't really explain it based off of the synopsis, but I'm super excited to find out about this book, because I know a lot of people say that it starts off in a way, but then it ends up a different way. I kind of feel like it's like the Throne of Glass series. Like, it started off with her as an assassin, but it ended up being like magical and crazy and amazing. So books like that I live for, with the hidden possibilities, and I think pretty much all of the books have already been published, so I do not have to wait. So I'm super excited to get into this book because I've heard really great things about it, and even though I can't really explain it the best, I tried. Level of anticipation, about a 4. So 4 out of 5 level of anticipation, because I really want to get into this. I know it's going to be a great book. The next book that I have for my book haul is Cake Pop Recipe Book. Now, don't judge me, because you know what? Everybody has books that they get. They're just like, why did I buy that book? But you know what? I also got this book at the used bookstore. The same thing. So this book was $4.95. $4.95 for a recipe book. You could not go wrong. So this book is like a little cute little dessert book of like little cake pops. And I recently, well not recently, probably like 2 years ago, I taught myself how to cook through recipe books, and I like dipping and diving into desserts. So these are like super cute. I love these like pictures. I'm gonna show you guys some of them. See, look how cute. Can you see? Okay, look at that. Look at these cute little cake pops. How could you go wrong? Look at the little owl. Robots. Popcorn. So yeah, this book has a ton of like really cute little dessert. I'm super excited. It has cute little desserts in here, and like a lot of birthdays and Christmassy holidays are coming up, so I definitely want to try one of these recipes just to be like, hey, show up with some cute little cake pops, and everybody's just like, oh, those are so cute. So I'm super excited to try some of these recipes in this book. It's obviously not something that I'm going to use every day, but this is fun. Like, I love being creative with my cooking, so I'm definitely excited to get into this little cookbook and try making some treats for the holidays that are coming up. And level of anticipation for getting into this, probably like a 5, because I just love doing like desserts and food and celebrations and all these holidays coming up. I'm super excited, and just being able to use my creativity, I'm definitely ready to get into this little cake pop book. The next book that I have is this shiny number. So cute. Look at that. Oh. It's called Ink by Alice Broadway, and this book I was going to read during Booktubeathon because it had a beautiful spine, and that was one of the challenges, but it was kind of a thicker book. Ooh, look at the inside. Oh, so gorgeous. So it was kind of a thicker book, and my #1 goal was to be able to finish 7 books in 7 days. So I didn't want to like stop myself from that, because it's not too long, but it is like a little bit over 300 pages. So I didn't want to like halt my process. This book is a debut novel, and it follows the main character, Leora. And in this book, everything that happens in your life results into an etching of the skin. Either I don't know if I think they're tattoos, but it results in like a description of what happens, like everything that's great, everything that's bad, and also things that are like treacherous. So there are certain symbols that people know of that are embroidered on your skin, and obviously, as you can see, I love tattoos, so I was immediately drawn to the idea of this book. And her father ends up passing away, and he's like has this amazing legacy, and he's this great person. She finds a symbol on him that pretty much says that he did something that's absolutely despicable, and she tries to cover it up so that no one finds out about it, but it ends up getting out, and it puts her in danger, her father's legacy in danger, and everything hits the fan. So this book I am super excited to get into, because I'm just drawn to the synopsis. I love tattoos, obviously. I love all my tattoos. No, I don't regret any of them. Do not ask me that ever in your life. But I love the synopsis of this book. I love the freaking cover. It's so gorgeous. And I really want to get into it because I feel like it's going to be like adventurous. And this is her debut novel, so I feel like hopefully she put her all into it. And level of anticipation for reading this book is probably like a 4, which is like almost all of my books. Like, I want to read them all now, but I definitely want to get into this book because it sounds amazing. The next 3 books that I have, I got from the used bookstore as well, and they were all $3.95. Like, how can you go wrong? I love used bookstore. So $3.95 for all 3 of these books. And it is the Hunger Games series, which I never got into. Like, I don't know why, but I've never really been into dystopian type books. Like, I guess like the synopsis is good of them because it's like kind of related to our world, and what if this happened, and just a view on like human race and mankind and certain things like that. But I really just, it wasn't like one of my favorite genres of books, so I never really got into it. But I did see the movies, and every single movie I fell asleep in. Like, in the theater. Like, it's so bad. But like, I would go with my friends, or I would by myself, and every time I tried to watch that movie, any of the 3 movies, I fell asleep every single time. And I just was like, you know what, maybe I should just do the books just to see if I like it. but like I just couldn't connect to it. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know any of the characters or what was just nothing. I didn't know what was happening. So I feel like maybe I should get into the books first before I attempt to watch the movies, because I just wasn't following the movies like at all. So everybody knows what the Hunger Games is about. This book series follows a nation where every year there are 12 different districts of people, I guess, and every year they have to sacrifice one boy and one girl between the age of like 12 to 18 to participate in this live showing of something called the Hunger Games, where they fight to the death. Like every single district sacrifices a boy and a girl, so you end up having 2 from each district. They have to fight on national television while people watch, and there'll only be one person left to survive, and they go through a ton of trials and tribulations to try to get them killed or get them wiped out or whatever, and it's all publicized on TV, which is like insane, but that's what the story is about. And the main character's sister ends up being one of the women that are sacrificed, and she volunteers to take her place, and that's where everything kicks off. So I'm definitely interested in getting into this, but I would give this like level of anticipation for reading this book like a 3, I guess, because I'm like, I never got into the movies, but these books were $3.95, so of course I got them, and I do like the synopsis of it, so I'm hoping that I do like the character and the story, and I can really just like dive into it head first without any problems and enjoy it. The next book that I have is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, and this book is pretty much a book of poems, and they have like pictures and things like that, and it's just like a ton of poems, and I've seen this like all over Tumblr, all over all the social websites, and I like that it just makes you think. Like some of the poems in this book kind of make you think, and it's like hit or miss with these poems. Like some people like them and some people feel like they're too Tumblr-y or whatever, but I took a peek at her Instagram and I liked a lot of the poems that she put on there, so I'm really interested in getting into this, and I love this cover. All these covers with matte finishes, like I'm living for it. So yeah, level of anticipation probably is like a 3.5, because like poem books I can multi-read with another book that I'm reading, so I can just like grab this and start it and not finish it and not feel like I have to throughout the year, and just keep reading and reading and reading. The next book that I have is Demigods and Magicians, the Percy and Annabeth Meet the Canes by Rick Riordan. So this book pretty much like a spin-off, I guess, of the Percy Jackson series, and it just like kind of dips and dives into the different demigods and the myths and the legends of all the characters and creatures that are in the stories of the Percy Jackson series. And I read the first Percy Jackson book, and I just thought it was okay, so I kind of picked up this book hoping that maybe it'll draw me more into the story and make me enjoy it more and love it more, because like for the first book that I read, I just thought it was like alright. Like I wasn't really, because Percy Jackson is kind of mentioned as much as Harry Potter, so I feel like those are just like 2 like book series that I hear a lot of people that, you know, this is what made me start reading type of thing, and that's why I picked up the series, but I really wasn't into it that much, I guess. So I'm hoping that this book gives me the opportunity to learn about the creatures and the myths and stuff like that, so that it'll just like draw me more to the storytelling. And this book was $2.95 at the used bookstore, so come through, used bookstore, come through. And level of anticipation for this book probably is like a 3, I guess, because I didn't really love the first book, and I'm not like really anticipating reading this, but I do want to get into it, so I'm a little excited, but it's not too much. The next book that I have is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, and I am super annoyed about this book because I purchased this book around the time of the announcement by Chloe that she was going to be doing a read-along with a few other booktubers, and I really wanted to join in on that, and she put a link in her description box that gave her the opportunity to get a small compensation for books that you bought with that link. So, you know, I want to support fellow booktubers because I really enjoy her videos, but I did not know that this book was going to take 3 weeks to get to me, and the tracking was terrible. I had no idea what was going on, where the book was. I completely forgot about it, and then when it was like the same week of the read along, I was just like, why haven't I gotten this book yet? Like, it was cheaper because it was like this kind of cover, and I guess the newer cover is a little bit more expensive, but I bought this one and I was like hoping to get it to be able to read along with them and then listen to their, you know, wrap up of it and be a part of a read along. And that did not happen because I got the book like 2 weeks after. Like, it took like almost a month for me to get this book, and I ordered it super early when she made the announcement. It was like so much time ahead that I could have gotten the book, read it, and followed along, but I didn't get the book in time, so I was like super annoyed with that. And it kind of just made me like throw the books aside. Like, nothing against the book, just against the entire like journey. I was kind of annoyed with it. But this book is about a main character named Kel, who is able to travel in between different worlds of London. I think there's 3. There's like the gray, the blue, and the blue. Oh, shit. So this book follows the main character Kel, who is able to travel in between the parallel universes of 3 different Londons, which is the red, gray, and the white London, and each realm is completely different from each other. Some have magic, some don't, and there also once was a black London. So this follows this character in his journey of traveling and adventures, and I feel like there's a whole bunch of magic up in here, and I love V.E. Schwab's writing. Like, it is so damn dark and twisted and just rich. Like, I just finished her book Vicious, and I absolutely loved that book. I did not want to put it down. But it was so good, and I love her writing, and I'm super excited to get into this after I get over my hurt feelings about my experience with purchasing this book from Book Depository. But yeah, so like level of anticipation for reading this book probably is like a 3, because I have a ton of other books that I really want to read, but this is definitely on that list, and I'm excited to get into it. The next book that I have is another little cookbook. My best friend actually got me this for my birthday, and I thought that I would just include it in the haul. It's a cookbook for meals in a mug. So like a lot of this stuff, like you just put it in a mug, mix it up, and then you can put it in the microwave or cook it in the oven or whatever, and it's just like little cute little quick meals. And I absolutely love this. Like, they have little bowls, and these are just like quick sweet treats that I want to get into because I am on my budgeting status, because I'm 100% on my financial journey of getting my credit score amazing and at the top notch. So budgeting and cooking in little mugs and small little like cooking meals is definitely something I want to get into, and I'm really thankful for my best friend getting me this book that has the cutest little like finger foods and like things to cook. In mugs, out of mugs, stuffed in little muffin pans, or stuffed inside the vegetables. So I'm excited to get into this. I think it's fun, it's different, it's creative. So level of anticipation of getting into this little cookbook is probably like a 4. Like, I love cooking, I love being creative, I love trying different tastes and recipes, so I'm excited to get into this. Thanks, bestie. The next book that I have is Add More Ing to Your Life by Gabrielle Bernstein. So this book I also got at the used bookstore, and it was $3.95, people. Like, you could not go wrong. It's pretty much just a fulfillment book of how to be more centered in your life and enjoying more of happiness and feeling more fulfilled within your life and doing things that you love and things like that. So I love books like that that try to center you and keep you focused on things that matter, which is your happiness in your life. And I'm excited to get into this, and I just saw it and I thought it was kind of cute. The cover was funny, so I just grabbed it and purchased it for $3.95. And my level of anticipation for getting into this book probably is like a 3. Like, I'm just going to end up grabbing this when I feel like reading it, because it's not like something I'm anticipating, but it is something that I want to get into because I think it's important to find happiness in your life. The next book that I have is A Little Black Book of Success by Elaine Merrill Brown, Marsha Haygood, and Rhonda Joy McLean. So this is a triple threat. It's written by 3 different authors who worked really hard on this book to give black women the opportunity to read a book about business and empowering them in the workforce and things to follow, things not to follow, their experience, things that they've learned. And it's just really empowering, and I love business books. So I've already started diving into this book, and I kind of stopped because I had a ton of other books that I wanted to read, but this is just a knowledgeable book that I could take notes from and increase my knowledge in the business world and understanding what I need to be as a businesswoman and as a business black woman, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a lot of information in it that I can take note from, and it's very informative and fun, and just, yeah. So level of anticipation for this book probably is like a 3, because I'm kind of getting more into books that have like storytelling and stuff like that. I've been reading a lot of business books, but this one has been on the back burner, and I just like been picking it up when I can and just like taking some notes, reading stuff from it. So it's just like something that I'm slowly digesting, not something that I've been like trying to read in one sitting. But yeah, I've been enjoying it for the most part so far. The next book that I have is Beast of the Night by Toki Onyebuchi. Tochi Onyebuchi. So I don't know if I said that right, but I'm hoping that I did. And this book follows a world where sin can be extracted from you by magies and turned into this beast. So if you commit any type of sin or are part of a sin, it can be extracted from your body and turned into this beast. And there are these beast slayers called the Aki who kill the beast, but while they are slaying them, they can be driven mad. So the main character, Taj, is a well-known sin slayer, and he ends up killing one of them, and it ends up corrupting him and making him pretty much go crazy and constantly start thinking about it. So it follows this world by the name of Kaz, and just like the whole adventure and journey and mystical, magical adventure of it. And I think that this is pretty like different, and I love the synopsis of this book. I haven't heard of anything like this, and I haven't seen it floating around on the booktube community, and I purchased it at the used bookstore for $4.95. So I'm like super excited to get into this book. I think it's interesting. I love the cover. Level of anticipation for starting this book probably is like a 3. It's on the back burner, but I really love the synopsis and I want to get into it, but I have so many books that I have to read now that this one isn't one of them. So I am excited to read it, but it's not like top level. The next book that I have is Furthermore by Tahara Mafi, and this cover though, like, it is amazing. I love book covers with a ton of color, and oh my god, I'm just living for this. It's so detailed, there's so much stuff in here. I was just drawn to it by the color, and I recognize the name. This book follows the main character, Alice, who is on a mission to find her father, who was up and went missing out of nowhere, and she has no idea where he is. And she's on a mission to travel through Furthermore to find out where he is. And this world, Furthermore, is very like twisted. Like, up can be down, paper can talk, and it kind of is giving me like Alice in Wonderland vibes. She has a co-character named Oliver who is coming along for the adventure, and she is kind of self-doubting, and I love characters that are self-doubting in the beginning and then they turn into like these amazing heroes who like stop the world and make anything possible and believe in themselves. And I'm excited to get into this because I feel like it's kind of like a retelling for Alice in Wonderland, and it's going to be super whimsical and fun. And I wish there was pictures in here. Oh, is there? No, there's no pictures, just a little thing there. But the cover just gives me an idea of how like whimsical and fun it's gonna be. So I'm definitely excited to get into this world, and this will be my first book that I've read by Tahara Mafi, so I'm interested to see what her writing style is like. And my anticipation for reading this book probably is like a 3.5, because I think it's gonna be fun, and I'm just obsessed with this cover. Like, the cover is giving me amazing vibes, so I am really excited to find out what her writing style is and how the characters develop and stuff like that. So I am anticipating this book. And I'm back. So I had to take a quick little break because my battery was dying and I had no more space on my camera, and I only had 2 books left, so I don't know why my camera just couldn't work with me. But yeah, so moving on. I changed the focus to auto because clearly me trying to show you guys pictures of like up close of the book and then trying to do it myself to get back refocused without glasses was a terrible idea, because a good majority of those clips are going to be a little blurry, but they're not too out of focus. So I do apologize, but soon I will be getting contacts. So I'm just gonna wrap up this book haul with my last 2 books, which is The Trial. Oh, a sticker. It never fails. Oh, this made me really sad. Whatever you're trying to tell me cannot be that important.
Every book haul, I get a freaking book with a damn sticker on it. Oh my god, it's like, what? And then it's like that sticky ass adhesive that doesn't really come off of the book, ruining it. That's so annoying.
that I have is The Trials of Apollo by Rick Riordan, and this book I picked up at Walmart, and I really just want to give Rick Riordan a fighting chance because the one book that I read by him, I didn't really love it too much, so I've got like 2 or 3 more books by him just to hope that I can catch on to his writing style and his character and stuff like that, because for the most part so far it's just like he's like a strong 3 for me, so I'm trying to give him a fighting chance. This book follows the main character Apollo, who has been banned from the world of Olympus by his father because he blames him for an issue that occurred or something like that. So he's been banned from the world that he's grown up in with all the gods, and he's been put into our world, Earth, as a 16-year-old boy, and he has to get a fighting chance to try to get back. And this has happened to him before, so this is pretty much his adventure of this main character by the name of Apollo and how he tries to fix the problem that he supposedly caused. And yeah, I feel like I'll be a little bit more interested in this one than the Percy Jackson series, because the Percy Jackson series for me was a little bit too young. So this character is 16, and I feel like maybe I'll be able to connect with this character more. I'm hoping that I really love this. And my anticipation for this book is probably like a 3. Like, I really just want to read this book to hope that I connect more with Rick Riordan, because I've heard such amazing things about him, and just because one book I didn't really love, I'm not going to write him off. So yeah, I'm hoping that I can enjoy this book for the most part. And the final book that I have was in my first book haul. This is only my second book haul because I am a new booktuber. This book was in my first book haul, which was back in March, and I still have not read this book, so that's been at least like 6 months, and I just haven't had a chance, and now I've just accumulated even more books, so now I'm just like, ugh. But I included this one in this book haul because I'm hoping that it forces me to read it and not put it off anymore. So yeah, this book is Everything Here is Beautiful by Maria T. Lee, and this book follows 2 main characters who are sisters. So the younger sister is the one that struggles with the mental illness. She impulsively marries like this random older guy and then ends up leaving him and having a kid with some like Spanish immigrant, and then she moves her family to a different country, and she just kind of is like really sporadic with a lot of her decisions. Her older sister is on a mission to like save her and try to help her and be there for her. So it follows their journey, and I really want to get into this book, but I really just have so many books that are coming out that are so good, and I work so much and I have so many things going on, which is no excuse, but this just hasn't been like on the burning side of something that I really want to get into. But I do want to get into it because it's different. It's not something that I typically read, and I love the cover. I love the synopsis because I want to read about mental illness just to see how I just like how it's been like dived into more in a lot of books, like with depression and mental illness and being bipolar and stuff like that. Like, I like books like that because it gives me an understanding of other people's issues and gives me an opportunity to be more empathetic. So I'm looking forward to getting into this book, and I just wish that I had like a whole month where I can just read all of the books that I want, because right now I have like maybe like 20 books that I purchased that I still haven't read yet, and more books that I want to buy, and I'm trying to like stop myself, read the 20 books that I have, and then go buy more books. But there's so many books coming out, so I'm trying. I'm trying. Anybody else have this problem? The stress is real. Anticipation for reading this book probably is like 3.5 because I really want to dive into it. It sounds like a different kind of synopsis that I'm used to, and I'm hoping the fact that I put it in 2 book hauls that it won't be in a third, and I'll actually read this book and stop putting it off. But yeah, so that wraps up my book haul video, and my camera's dying again, so I'm going to try to close this video out before my camera completely dies on me. I hope you guys enjoyed this long book haul. Let me know if any of the books that I included in my book haul you've read, and any that you think that which ones you think that I should read in what order, which ones I should read first. Always remember, read a book, keep your life interesting, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.